Hey everybody, in this video, I'm going to be walking you through the full process of building your own custom GPT using what I call the protocol method and a tool that I built called the GPT Builder. All of the tools and templates that I use in this video will be linked in the description completely free, and you don't need to be technical to do this as there is no code required in this process. So by the end of this video, you will have everything that you need to build your very own useful custom GPT. If you're new here, my name is Ian Gatsky. I'm the founder of Implement AI, and on this channel, I make videos that help business owners put AI to use in practical ways. So if you're interested in that, hit the subscribe button. It's free, and you can always change your mind. If you haven't already watched my video where I explain what the protocol method is for building custom GPTs, I recommend that you watch that first because I'm going to be using some language and taking you through a process that might not make sense without that context. I'll leave the link to that video right here. Now with intros out of the way, let's get into it. All right, before we get into building, the first thing that we need to do is identify a use case for a custom GPT within our business. This should just be a general idea of what you want the custom GPT to be able to do. And we're really looking for two things here. Number one is any high friction, high frequency knowledge work within our workflows. Or number two, if we have any decision-making frameworks or particular expertise that we leverage frequently and we could train a custom GPT to be able to emulate. Those are two good characteristics or identifiers for custom GPTs that we could build that would be useful. So for example, maybe you have a course and you want to build a custom GPT that guides your users through doing the work that you assign to them in that course. Or you're a content creation agency and you want to build a custom GPT that's trained on all of your clients' brand information so that it can help you come up with content ideas or write video scripts. For this demo video, I'm going to be building a companion GPT for my friend Chrissy, who has this asset called the Podcast Launch Planner. And in that planner, she assigns a bunch of work to her users that they need to do in order to get their podcast launched and off the ground. So the GPT that I'm going to build is a companion to that asset that's going to work with the users to do all of the work that they need to do to complete that planner. I have a separate video entirely about how to identify use cases within your business, so you can go watch that now. Or you can come to the Custom GPT Builder, which is linked below, and you can go to the Identify Use Cases protocol. Going through that protocol, you give the GPT the context that it needs, and it'll help you work to identify use cases within your business. I have a preloaded thread over here to kind of show you what that looks like. So you click the Identify Use Cases protocol. It'll ask you these 5 questions. You answer those questions, and it'll spit out some ideas for custom GPTs within your business. Take some time. Think of a use case. Once you have your idea, we're ready to move on to the next step. The next thing that we're going to do is create what I call a custom GPT blueprint. This is going to help us organize our plan and the scope of the build for the custom GPT that we're creating. So we can take a look at what this looks like over here. So the custom GPT blueprint is going to include the name of the custom GPT, its purpose, why it exists, an outline of the knowledge base, like the files that the custom GPT is going to have as reference, and then each of the protocols or specific tasks that this custom GPT is going to be trained to execute, including the purpose of the task or the protocol, and then an articulation of how it's going to work, like what is that user experience going to look like, and then a clear outline of the final outputs that the user is going to receive from going through this protocol. So we can fill out this GPT blueprint by coming to the Custom GPT Builder and then initiating the GPT Blueprint protocol, right? So we can just click this conversation starter right here, or you can type in GPT Blueprint protocol as the protocol trigger phrase. When we do that, it's going to introduce the protocol and then request that we share some context or the vision for the GPT that we want to build. So it's just going to articulate everything that I just said. It's going to share the link to the Custom GPT Blueprint template, so you can open that up so you can fill this out as you work through this protocol with the GPT. So that's exactly what we were just looking at. So I'll just show you. So as I said, I'm building a companion GPT for Chrissy's podcast launch planner. So I'm just going to say that. I want to build a companion GPT for this asset that guides users through doing the work it assigns. Boom. So we'll share that, and then it's going to re-articulate the vision for the custom GPT back to me so that I can make any changes based on the context that it gathered from my prompt. If everything looks good, I'll just say proceed, and it'll move on to our generating a purpose statement for the custom GPT, again, that I can review and edit. And as I'm working through this, I'm going to be copying and pasting it into this custom GPT blueprint file. So I already went through all of this. I already went through this GPT blueprint protocol for Chrissy's companion GPT. So we're just going to walk through what a completed blueprint will look like. And we'll kind of come back to the GPT blueprint protocol as we do. So we can look at this, the blueprint for the companion GPT that I'm building for Chrissy. The name of it's the podcast launch companion GPT. We have a clearly articulated purpose statement right here, right? So it's a guided assistant designed to help creators navigate and complete the Be a Better Brand podcast launch planner. And then we created an outline of all the protocols that this GPT is going to be trained on, or the specific tasks that it's going to do. As you can see, this is going to have, I think, 6 protocols that it's trained on, right? And for each protocol, I've outlined the purpose of the protocol. I've articulated in detail how this is going to work. And this is really important that we do, like we're really thoughtful and intentional in this step, because this is going to make the next step so much easier, which is writing the instructions for each of these protocols. The more work that we can do to clearly identify our vision for how we want this protocol or this task to be executed by the GPT, the better off we're going to be. I'll include the link to this completed blueprint in the description, so you can have this as a reference as you're filling out your own custom GPT blueprint, or you can use it as an example that you share with the GPT. But we can jump back over here to the blueprint protocol. We'll see that it created the draft of the purpose statement. If all that looks good, again, I'll just say proceed. Next thing it's going to do is outline the protocols that we're going to train it on. So all the specific tasks that the GPT is going to do. Again, I will make some of my own changes. Like for me, when I was doing this, I was, in addition to referencing the ideas that the GPT was coming up with, I was scrolling through this to make sure that nothing was being missed. And if there were any other ways that I thought that we could chunk together the work that she was assigning to make, a more efficient list of protocols. But again, let's just say that all this looks good. We'll say proceed, and it will generate a complete protocol overview, again, that I'm just copying and pasting into this blueprint document. But once we have this custom GPT blueprint created, we're ready to start building. Okay, so now that we have the blueprint or the plan for our custom GPT completed, the next step is going to be writing the instructions for each of the protocols that we're going to train this custom GPT to be able to do. Okay, so if we look back here at the custom GPT blueprint that we filled out for the podcast launch companion GPT, right, there were 7 protocols that we're training this GPT to be able to do, right? And each protocol, again, represents a specific task that we're going to train this GPT to execute following a specific step-by-step process. The way that we get the GPT to follow a specific step-by-step process and do what we want it to do is through these protocol instructions. This is by far the most time-consuming part of this process, but it is the most critical. The quality of our protocol instructions is going to directly translate to the quality and overall functionality and usefulness of the custom GPTs that we build within our business, or if you're building custom GPTs for clients. So again, for this GPT that we're building in this demo video, we have 7 protocol instructions that we're going to write. Before we get into writing them, I want to show you what the protocol instructions will look like. So there's a template. There's a link to the template for these protocol instructions documents in the description, but the custom GPT builder will also share with you the link. So open up this protocol instructions documents and you will see 2 sections to protocol instructions. Section 1 is the protocol guidelines. The first part of this is a protocol overview, which just communicates the purpose of the protocol. Like, what is the purpose of this task? What is it doing? At the end of this protocol, the user will have what? There's the ideal behavior section, which communicates to the GPT how we want it to behave when executing this task. Behavior to avoid, so the antithesis of that, or the opposite of that. So the behavior that we want the GPT to avoid when executing this task. And then a section where we can include any other important context that we want the GPT to have when executing this task. So that's section 1. Section 2 then down here is where we clearly articulate and lay out the step-by-step process that we want the GPT to follow when going through this protocol with the user. So this section down here is where we're going to influence the user experience the most. But so for each of these protocols that we're going to train the custom GPT on, we're going to have one of these protocol instructions documents filled out. So now to do it, we go back to the custom GPT builder, and you can do 2 things. You can either continue on in the same thread in which you built the custom GPT blueprint, or you can start a new chat with the custom GPT builder, initiate the write protocol instructions protocol, and then just share the blueprint with it and any other context that you have if you just want to start fresh in a new thread. So for me, I'm just going to continue on in the same thread, and I've already kind of done this just to make this video faster. So the first thing that happens when you initiate the write protocol instructions protocol is it's going to draft the step-by-step process for the protocol, right? So this is probably the hardest. So if writing protocol instructions is the hardest part and most time-consuming part of the entire process of building a custom GPT, brainstorming the step-by-step process is the most important part of writing any protocol instruction. So I hope that made sense. But you just really want to make sure that the step-by-step process that you're writing and that you're coming up with and that you're training the GPT to follow is comprehensive enough where it's going to get everything done that you want it to get done, but it's also not like 12 steps because that would just be really cumbersome for the user. So you want it to be as efficient as possible without losing the functionality that you want to achieve your final output, right? So again, going back to the blueprint, this is why blueprinting out your custom GPT is so important, and just really thinking about this before you even get into writing the protocol instructions, because the more that we can think through this how it works section, the easier it's going to be able to be to dissect and pull out a step-by-step process from this, which is just going to make writing the protocol instructions so much easier. So again, jumping back to the GPT builder, so it'll work with you to draft the step-by-step process. It will present a draft to me. For me, this one was 6 steps. I was like, that's way too much. I think that the step-by-step process should just be 2 steps, and these steps should look like this. So it'll say, okay, I appreciate like whatever noted. It repeats back to me what I want. I said that looks good. I said proceed. Then what it's going to do is then write the step instructions. So once you finalize the step-by-step process with the GPT, you'll then go through and write the instructions for each step one at a time. So you can see here, after we finish the step-by-step process, it's now writing the step instructions for step 1. Then what I do is I just copy and paste everything over into one of these documents. So I already did this. If we look over here, so we have the start here protocol instructions document. So I replaced those with start here, whatever, but then coming down here to step 1, introduction and share key links, I just copy this and paste it into here. So copy, paste the objective, copy, paste the message template, copy, paste the numbered list of actions, right? So obviously go back and forth. Like if you have feedback or if you have any changes that you want made to these instructions, make those. But then you will just work with the GPT builder through writing all the step-by-step instructions. So once we've completed this, once we've complete these step instructions for the protocol instructions, then you'll circle back and write the protocol guidelines, which the GPT builder will do with you. And you will repeat that process for every protocol for your custom GPT. I think what will be helpful is if I show you what these protocols look like in action, just to really double underline the importance of the protocol instructions, right? So if we look at this podcast launch GPT and we click the start here protocol, what it's doing now is it's referencing that start here protocol instructions document, this right here, and it's going to follow this step-by-step process with me. So if you look at this, it's going to explain, introduce the protocol, what we're going to do, and then share with me the link to the demo video, share with me the link to the companion document, and then when I say proceed, so that was step 1. Now step 2 is it's going to ask me to fill out and answer the questions that we need for the user snapshot. So what the GPT is doing here is exactly what I told it to do in the protocol instructions document. So again, in this step, you're going through and you're writing the protocol, and you're filling out one of these protocol instructions documents for each of the protocols that you're going to train your custom GPT on. Once you're done with that, we're just about done to have this GPT deployed. So take your time. I will include links to some completed protocol instructions documents in the description, so you can have those as an example and reference as you go through and write your own. But once you have this done, we're ready to move on to the next step. Now that you have all of the protocol instructions completed, the next step is writing what I call the configure instructions. These are going to be the instructions that you paste into the instructions panel of your builder view, whether that's on ChatGPT, Chip, or any other GPT hosting platform. The purpose of these configure instructions is to define the overarching purpose and behavior patterns that you want your GPT to follow when executing all interactions with the user. Let me show you what these look like for Chrissy's. So as you can see, we have a purpose section up here at the top, which I just reused the purpose statement from the CustomGPT blueprint. Purpose and then a kind of dashed bullet point list of ideal behaviors that I want the GPT to follow. And I use dashes because bullet points don't paste into the instructions panel. So again, just a little OCD. Then I have a behavior to avoid section here. And then finally, the protocol triggers, right? So purpose, ideal behavior, behavior to avoid. I'm sure you understand that. But the protocol triggers section here is kind of how we quote unquote program our custom GPT to use the protocol method, right? We program it just in natural language. So essentially, we're just saying when the user says X, go to this instructions document and follow those instructions, right? So for example, in here, like one that I always like to include in my custom GPTs is when the user says display all protocols, generate a bullet point list of what the user needs to input to trigger each of the protocols listed here in this protocol section with a short message, right? So it's just display all the protocols that are available. And then here, there's this big text block that saves some text because in the instructions window, you only have, I think, 4,000 characters to use within that instructions panel window, give or take like 1,000. So we want to be really precise in the amount of characters that we're using in the instructions here. And then down here below, it's just when the user says this or something like that, reference this file and go through that protocol. So those are the 4 sections of the configure instructions document. Again, a template to this completed version will be in the description for you to reference, but you can use the Custom GPT builder to write these configure instructions. So just go to the configure instructions protocol here with the Custom GPT builder, or continue on in the same thread that you've been using and then just type configure instructions protocol and it will take you through writing those configure instructions. So just to give you a little peek at what this looks like when it's pasted into the GPT, you see here in the instructions panel, right, these are the configure instructions. This is what I mean when I say configure instructions right here. And you'll see down here all the protocol documents uploaded, but this is what we'll get into in the next step. All right, at this point of the process, you have identified a use case for a custom GPT in your business. You've put together the corresponding blueprint, you've written the protocol instructions, and you've written those configure instructions for your GPT. All that's left now is to get it built through whatever platform it is that you want to use. For me, I like using ChatGPT's Custom GPT builder, but you can use a platform like chip.ai or any other GPT hosting platform. So I'm going to take you through exactly how to do that right now. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is download each of those protocol instructions documents as PDFs. So All right, so the first thing you're going to do is download each of those protocol instructions documents as PDFs. I use Canva, so that process looks like this, but I'm sure it's very similar whether you use Google Docs or any other word processing tool. So I just go to my folder that I've holding all of these protocol instructions documents, and I just click on the 3 dots here, download as a PDF. So I already downloaded all these, so I'm not going to download another one. So you download all of the protocol instructions documents as a PDF, and then just have your configure instructions document where you pasted all of those configure instructions open. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go to chatgpt.com, which you should already have open. You're going to click Explore GPTs here on the left-hand side. Then up here in the top right, you're going to click this white button with the plus create. And you're going to navigate. It might default to create. You're just going to want to switch to this configure tab over here. So let me move my face. So the configure tab here, now this is where we're going to be putting all of our instructions and how we build custom GPTs on ChatGPT. Again, if you're using a platform like chip.ai, this process is going to look very similar. You just do like new app, and then this will all look very similar. Okay, so now the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to upload these protocol instructions files to this knowledge base, right? So we're just going to click upload files, go to my downloads, and I'm going to open all of these PDFs in here. So let me move my face again. All of these PDFs. So I'm including the protocol instructions documents, and I'm going to include the companion document that users are going to use when they fill this out, just because I want the GPT to have that context. And then in addition, I'm also going to upload the Be a Better Brand, like the launch planner itself. So upload all of the protocol instructions documents to the knowledge base, and then any other files that you want the GPT to have to reference when the user is working with it or when you're working with this custom GPT. Okay, so we get everything loaded into the knowledge base. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to copy the configure instructions, copy, and then paste those right here into the instructions. So again, going back, I like using dashes just because it's easier for me to then navigate through the configure instructions here. And then I have all this spacing again too for the same reason, just so it's easy to use, easy to see. Okay, now that we have that there, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to write the conversation starters. So these are going to be, the conversation starters are going to be your protocol trigger phrases, right? So for me, that's start here protocol, podcast foundation protocol. Next one is going to be, I can just copy this, brand identity development protocol, and I'm going to delete that. And then one quick little note, on desktop, it only displays 4 conversation starters, so I always like to have display all protocols as my 4th conversation starter if I have more than 4. Then I'm going to continue going down here and copying and pasting these protocol triggers as conversation starters. Okay, 2 more. Boom. Okay, so we have all 7 protocols here as conversation starters. Okay, now the last thing that we're going to do, or second last thing that we're going to do, is you're going to write the name of your custom GPT, write a short little description, and add a profile picture. I want to note that none of these 3 things have any impact on the functionality of your GPT. This is purely for helping you keep it organized or just a short communication of what your custom GPT is going to do. So for me, the name is going to be the podcast launch companion GPT. My description is just going to be an AI tool built to guide users through be a better brands podcast launch planner. Boom. And then the photo that I'm going to use is just going to be Chrissy's logo. Now that you have the name, description, profile picture done, everything loaded into the instructions, all the conversation starters labeled, and you have your knowledge base fully uploaded, the last thing you're going to do is make sure that all of your capabilities boxes down here are checked, right? So as you can see, this one was default unchecked, and I want that. I want the GPT to be able to do that. So I just always have all the capabilities checked. It doesn't cost you any money or anything like that. But now that we're here, the last thing we're going to do is click create up here in the top right. It's going to give you an option to edit your access preferences. So just kind of select whatever works for you. For me, I'm going to do anyone with the link because I want to share this with Chrissy. And you click update, let it load. And boom, once it loads, you're going to be able to click view GPT. And your custom GPT is going to be ready to go, right? So I always like to kind of test it here by clicking one of these protocols just to make sure that everything's working, right? So once you have the GPT built, you're going to want to go through and test it out, see what the user experience is like, identify whatever changes you want to make, and then just continue to improve your GPT over time. And that is the entire process of building a custom GPT using the protocol method from ideation to deployment. If you made it this far in the video and you want help identifying use cases for custom GPTs in your business and putting together one of those custom GPT blueprints, there's a link in the description where you can book a call with me and I will do that with you live. Thank you so much. If you found value in this, share it with a friend, hit the like button, hit subscribe. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you in the next video.